For it. Here it is. It's a podcast from Apathetic Enthusiasm.
Coming to you live from a wonderland of pain, where pleasure of the flesh is derived from the culling of your soul. Welcome, my friends or enemies, to Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast.
Hello, everybody. I'm Travis.
Hey, everybody. I'm Brandon, and I cannot maintain that raspy voice for an entire episode. But I thought about trying it. I'm not gonna do it, but I did think about it.
You gave me 0% warning that you were gonna do that voice, and I almost completely ruined the intro because I almost bust out laughing in the middle of it. But anyway, great job, and so thankful that everybody's here. Welcome back to Interdimensional RSS, the unofficial Rick and Morty podcast, where we talk about Rick and Morty. That's the premise of the show. Welcome.
Welcome. And if you want to talk about the show with us, there's a few places you can do that. You can, of course, go to our Twitter at Rick and Morty Pod, Facebook.com/Rick and Morty Podcast, Instagram, where we post our episode images. But you can please come out there and say hello, have a discussion with us at Rick and Morty Podcast on Instagram. And of course, over on email, rickandmortypodcast@gmail.com. www.rickandmorty.reddit.com. That's not actually us. That is the Rick and Morty Reddit at large. It is fantastic. Great group of folks. Such a large, talented place to explore your fandom on a much smaller scale. Rick and Morty Podcast.reddit.com, where if you want to explore this fandom, you can join like one other person who's selling t-shirts, and it'll be fun. It'll be great.
Yeah, it's very niche.
Our website, rickandmortypod.com or rickandmortypodcast.com. We are streaming live, Travis.
I'm streaming live. Let's not get it twisted. I'm streaming live, and Brandon's internet is extremely suspect right now. As you can see, if you look at his frozen face over there, I'm streaming live, and Brandon is frozen in a frozen hellscape. But if you want to follow along with us, watch the show live as it happens, head over to twitch.tv/apathetic enthusiasm. You can also catch recordings of the show in their video format over at youtube.com/apathetic enthusiasm. If you're watching on YouTube, like, comment, subscribe, do all those things. We appreciate it that you're following us over there. Finally, you can support the show financially. You can buy a t-shirt at apatheticenthusiasm.com/shop. That link will take you to our TeePublic page, or you can go to patreon.com/apatheticenthusiasm, where you can support this show, support the two of us that make it. And and I think Brandon is back. I think Brandon is okay. And it's gonna be one of those nights. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun. Turns out I'm using my hotspot on my phone, and what happened was all of a sudden my computer's like, actually, I don't want to use your hotspot. I want to use your actual internet, which is far less reliable. But turns out it doesn't matter. There's gonna be internet issues abound here on Rick and Morty Podcast. Travis, I'm sure you got through all of the extra housekeeping stuff while I was gone, so I appreciate that.
Yeah. It's all about teamwork here on this episode. And so, it's sometimes I have to support you, sometimes you have to support me. It's called family, Brandon. It's called family, okay?
Where's Vin Diesel? He's around here somewhere.
And so we'll get into what our family does best, our first segment, which is semi-pertinent news.
It's
Second verse.
Same as the first.
Welcome to Semi-Pertinent News, segment where we talk about anything remotely Rick and Morty related. And as you all know, a huge blockbuster movie came out this weekend, available at theaters as well as HBO Max. We're talking about no other movie than Space Jam. A new legacy. Come on and
We're-
slam, and welcome
Come
to the
on.
jam.
Dude, the jam. It's the space. Were you trying to think of a different movie to pop in there instead
Yeah,
of
I was
Space Jam?
like, Black Widow, no. The Conjuring 2, no.
No, Looney Tunes Back in Action. No.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I've never seen Looney Tunes Back in Action, but because Space Jam is out and the sequel is out, everybody says that it is the superior Looney Tunes film from that era. So I need to go back. I need to go check it out because people say it is much better than Space Jam. Which, as an adult watching Space Jam, the first one, I gotta say, I don't think it's all that great, but it has nostalgia.
It's got to be the nostalgia for me because I enjoy the movie looking back on it, and maybe it's got to be the nostalgia because it's not technically a great movie, but compared to the current Space Jam film with LeBron James and Don Cheadle,
It just may be a masterpiece. It
It's-
may be this generation's Citizen Kane. if there's any comparison.
Yeah.
Space Jam, new legacy. We received an email as part of the Adult Swim's marketing arm, and it was an ad for Space Jam, and you and I, we both kind of like we mentioned to each other just like, okay, all right, well, there's that. It doesn't make sense. But then we started seeing the tweets, we started seeing the bleeps, and we started seeing the social media posts that had a clip of Rick and Morty, and this is how it's semi-pertinent, inside Space Jam for a very, very, very quick cameo. It's not spoiling anything if we tell you that Rick and Morty are in there. They're not in the background of the basketball scenes. They actually have a part, and Roiland does the voices for the characters. So it might very well be the best part of Space Jam, A New
Easily.
Legacy.
Well, I don't know. Marvin the Martian gets some featured time in there as well. Soft spot in my heart for Marvin. So yeah, I don't know. Which actually thinking about it, Marvin the Martian ship and Rick's ship are somewhat similar in their design aesthetic. That's interesting. Maybe it's not a Jimmy Neutron ripoff, but something else entirely. Anyway, so if you watched the new Space Jam movie, I'm sorry, but I mean, I went and saw it. I saw it. My kid was super hyped for the movie. But yeah, Rick and Morty were the highlight for me.
It's not for us. It's not for us as adults, right? It's for the
guess
kids. Your kid loved it. My kid liked it a lot. And really, the original Space Jam 2 was kind of like that, right? Like, we were kids when we watched it. We enjoyed it, but it wasn't necessarily what our favorite movie is. But there's some. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead and say what you want
I'm
to say.
just saying the new Space Jam doesn't have a Bill Murray equivalent. All right, there's not.
Yeah, I mean, Don Cheadle is as close as you're gonna get with the Bill
Maybe
Murray.
the guy that plays his agent is like this weird comic relief that we didn't deserve, I guess. But he's no Bill Murray. He's no.
That guy is more of the Dennis Nedry character.
Okay.
Knight? Something Knight?
Wayne Knight.
Yeah, Wayne Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Newman from Seinfeld. Yeah.
Yeah. What I want to say is there's some controversy among some folks. They're like, especially after the sperm episode of Rick and Morty, where they're like, you have Rick and Morty in a children's cartoon. But I just want to say to that point, and everyone else has pointed this out on social media as well, that the original Space Jam had Pulp Fiction as a reference with Bugs and Daffy. It had very adult references in it too. When people are like, what about the children?
Yeah,
what about the children?
I think where it stems from is like the character redesign of Lola Bunny, the canceling of Pepe Le Pew, the different things that have been done to modify Space Jam. Those were all over Twitter, and then they're like, oh, but we can throw Rick and Morty in it with their version of comedy. Rick does say his classic line, "Bye, dum dums," which is just such a Rick thing to say. Anyway, Rick and Morty are in Space Jam. That's my pertinent news. There you go.
Yeah, let's move on from Space Jam. If you want to hear more about Space Jam, we're not talking about it. And next up, we have the Reddit post of the week. This one is by user daniederhofa. Daniederhofa. Go ahead and look it up. I'm not going to spell it out for you. But the post is called, "Seriously, what is wrong with this sub? Not everyone can watch an episode as soon as it comes out." And it has 44,000 upvotes. Travis, you want to tell us a little bit more about this post?
So this post is what has become a staple in the Rick and Morty meme genre. What originally sourced from a Pringles commercial where Rick tears the wallpaper off of the living room wall and there are Pringles shown behind. Rick tears off the wall to reveal "Mark your damn spoilers." So yeah, pretty much just saying that if you're gonna be on the Rick and Morty subreddit and you're gonna be sharing spoilers, especially if you're talking about things not like if you're talking about things from a recent episode or things like that, just mark your spoilers. It's Reddit culture. It's the right thing to do. And yeah, and
it's easy enough.
And thank you to the folks making this post for reinforcing that idea.
Wholeheartedly. I actually got a message from a few folks in the last week and a half or so, because as you know, Travis, I do the post episode discussions over on the subreddit, and some folks have been like, "Can you please do something more about people spoiler tagging their posts in the subreddit?" And in the moderators, there's over 2 million folks in that subreddit. We have an automod that takes care of a lot of things, but unfortunately, we do a good they do. I don't do a lot of the moderating. They do a good job of like trying to get rid of the spoiler thing. But when you have that many folks that are constantly bombarding the subreddit with spoilers, it's really difficult. If you want to talk about difficult, with the whole Amazon leak of episode 7, we talked about this last week as well. They're still the subreddit is still trying to filter through that and stop the episode 7 leak from coming out. It's impossible, right? Because pirate sites and YouTube, like I think I searched for something last night and it popped up on YouTube right away. I was like, no, I don't want to watch this. Moving on, 44,000 upvotes. Travis, I don't want to talk about that anymore because I talked at length about it when my internet cut out. So what we're going to move on to is your favorite section, the Dan Harmon Social Media Minute.
Dan Harmon Social Media Minute. I keep them short and sweet. You know, they're like radio bumpers or something. Anyway, here we go. Dan Harmon. He is on Instagram. He's not anywhere else on the internet. And these two most recent posts by Daniel Harmon both involve him playing Minecraft. The first is Dan Harmon talking about not needing armor when he makes a quick trip into the Nether, and then freaking out at all the gas and soul sand and all sorts of things in the Nether that are there to kill him. He then goes on. He has another post with him being, I think, a little bit more prepared going into the Nether. But the takeaway I really want to bring up here is Dan is playing a modded version of Minecraft. I think it's like Endeavor or something, or it's some sort of moderated version. FTB Endeavor is, I think, the type of Minecraft mod that he's playing, and it looks really cool. I tend to keep going back to Minecraft as a game because I'm unoriginal and I don't end up playing a lot of other types of games. But I'm curious for you, Unity, if you have played this version of Minecraft. Let us know how it is. Let me know if I should try it out. I started a game of Minecraft in this last few months. That was the game that I was going to beat. I was finally going to go all the way to the end and beat the Ender Dragon, and I never did it. I still haven't done it because because season 5 started, and most of my free time is taken up with Rick and Morty stuff or recovering from Rick and Morty stuff. So let me know if in the off season if I should play this modded version of Minecraft. And that's Dan Harmon. Dan Harmon on Instagram. You know where to follow him. He's
Yeah,
he's playing Minecraft. He's apparently moved on from Fallout 4. He's back on Minecraft.
Hey, you always go back to the thing you love. Yeah, it's
true.
inevitable.
It's true. Some things are just they're comforting. They're always there for you.
Yeah, comfort food, Minecraft.
Yeah, exactly.
.com.
Yeah.
Speaking of .com, make sure you go to lootcrate.com and use the code RMP15 for your chance for 15% off Loot Crate. Thematically, there's a Loot Crate out there for horror films. They've got The Exorcist, The Twilight Zone, which isn't really horror. I'm always like, no, that's not really horror. But The Twilight Zone, and of course, something else. I forget what it is. Doesn't matter. Go to lootcrate.com/com and use the code RMP15 for your chance at 15% off. And technically, it's not a chance because you
keep saying your chance, but it's like it's not like there's any risk of not getting 15% off. If you use the code, you'll get 15% off. It's
your 100% chance to get 15% off.
Thank you, Brandon. Thank you for that. And before you try to drag that out any further, I'm gonna drag us into our next segment, which is the main thing.
The main thing's digging into the dark of your mind.
I was trying to go Thunder Horse, which is the Metalocalypse movie coming out in I think next year sometime, which is also semi-pertinent news. I love Metalocalypse. You should go check it out, Travis.
Yeah, I'm gonna go right now. You finish the show.
Coach, I'll finish the show. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the main thing. This main thing, we are talking about the latest episode on our list, Season 5, Episode 5, Amortycan Grickfitti. Original air date yesterday, which for those listening might be any day. It was July 18th, 2021. Written by Ann Lane, who's also written other episodes. Directed by Kyung-hee Lim. Who's also directed other episodes, might I add. Guest stars Darren Chris, no T at the end. Troy Baker, the famous voice actor. Brandon Johnson, my brother. If last names were reversed and first names were and Echo Kellum. Our bronopsis this week, everybody. Adults are gone tonight, bruh. Grab the keys. Travis,
Boom.
Oh, yeah.
Our synopsis: the only way to beat a bully is with sincerity. That or fire. And so in this episode, we are in a return to form, if you will. If one thing is certain, especially in the Reddit community, there have been mixed feelings about the first 4 episodes in season 5. But I would say that this, almost more than any other episode so far this season, has been a return to a proven formula in Rick and Morty history. I feel like as we went through seasons 1 and 2, we did a lot of episodes where we were reviewing an A plot and a B plot. That is very evident in this episode as well. We also have sort of pop culture references galore throughout, and a little bit of sci-fi adventuring happening. So, Brandon, what were your initial thoughts after viewing the episode for the first time?
Yeah. Well, throw this out there. Everyone is wondering that they say to us time and time again on social media at Rick and Morty Pod, Rick and Morty Podcast, Rick and Morty Podcast at gmail.com. They say, what is this title in reference to, Brandon and Travis? And we always say what the episode is title is reference to. This one is not THX 1138, which is George Lucas's first film. It's American Graffiti. There's Harrison Ford, Ron Howard, George Lucas directed it. That's all it was. It was about a bunch of friends in like the mid '60s going into the '70s, uh, getting rid after high school. It was like their one night, and then like at the end of the movie, there was like epilogues about like what these kids ended up doing. Like one guy went to Vietnam and got killed and something like that.
Yeah,
Whatever.
it was that like last like hangout like at the end of high school or whatever. And honestly, I didn't see this film until after I had already seen Dazed and Confused. But the two films feel like very similar, only in different phases of like history, like almost like a decade or two apart from each other. But it really it encapsulates that culture of where it was cool to like just cruise around town, and like people would get in their cars and just kind of drive around, which I think maybe is the reference for these teenagers taking Rick's car to cruise around, the galaxy and go for a joyride. So yeah, we have a couple of themes. The first one I want to get out of the way is an obvious nod to the Hellraiser films, a series of films that I have never seen. But Brandon, you are an avid fan of these films, so this is the opportunity for you to talk as much as you want about the Hellraiser films.
Hellraiser, yes, Hellraiser. This is one of those episodes that, based off the trailers, right? It was something we knew was coming. We knew it was on its way around, and you know me, Travis. I am a big horror fan. Where when we were talking about my Wi-Fi troubles, I talked about my Wi-Fi hotspot being The Last Drive-In after Joe Bob Briggs. That was because I couldn't think of another like fancy Wi-Fi name. But my son, my 9-year-old, and I, we watched Hellraiser. We watched Hellbound, Hell on Earth, Hellraiser 2 on Joe Bob. I used to watch Hellraiser with my brother, with my uncles, and Hellraiser has a special place in my heart. The first Hellraiser, I wasn't, I was it was it wasn't always my go to. I think Hell on Earth, which is Hellraiser 3, was like the first one that I really paid attention to. And one of the Cenobites that you see in the beginning of this episode, the one with like it's like kind of like got like a weird RGB screen going on,
Yeah.
like that's kind of an homage to one of the Cenobites in Hellraiser 3, Hell on Earth, where he just has like a movie camera that he gets stuck in his head. Obviously, the main Cenobite in the beginning, Penhead, he has pens like writing utensils instead of pins in his head. I got a kick out of that, even just from the cold open. Look, let me just say, I love having Hellraiser and Rick and Morty, just as I love having Scary Terry and Rick and Morty, and in every other horror reference in the world. Terminator, you throw those shits at me, and I will love this episode.
What is the untouched horror property that you hope to see next in a future episode?
I was gonna say Cronenberg, but they got Cronenberg in there. You got some flyisms in there. Um, they already might have touched on like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. I'm sure that's in there already. Maybe Evil Dead, the whole Ash vs Evil Dead, that series would be good. They don't have a whole lot of Jason or Michael Myers yet. I would be interested to see what they have to comment on those types of films. But yeah, and then Scream, right? Scream itself is kind of that meta commentary of those types of films.
Yeah, yeah.
I, it'd be great.
All of those would be great.
Yeah, any Wes Craven stuff. Last House on the Left. Try you want to start a horror podcast?
This is just apathetic enthusiasm. That's what this podcast has turned to. Let's talk about Rick and Morty a little bit. The overarching theme from this episode, and we talked about it a little bit today while we were prepping for this episode. This episode really ends up being a lot about bullies and sort of like punching down on folks that you think are somehow less than you, or you think you're better than. We see this a lot in sort of the A plot where Rick takes Jerry out on a guys' night so that a bunch of those hellspawn can laugh at him and get some sort of satisfaction or pleasure from the cringe that is Jerry Smith. This sort of leads up to a point later on where when they actually follow them into hell, Rick gets told that Rick thinking that he's better than Jerry is what the demons call the lamest thing ever, right? And so it's this theme throughout where it doesn't necessarily start with Rick. It starts with the demons, but then Rick's kind of playing into it, and then even Beth, even though she's disgusted when she first sees it happening, very quickly sort of joins in on this idea of just making fun of Jerry because he's kind of innocent. Yeah, he's cringy or lame, but he's genuine, right? He is Jerry. He's not trying to be anything that he's not. What were your initial thoughts on how that story played out, and sort of what the writers were trying to say about sort of bullying or making fun of people, thinking you're better than people?
Yeah, I thought that I just talked about Hellraiser and horror a lot, almost taking us out of talking about Rick and Morty. But what I really liked was that just establishing it early on, that whole idea of we are using your pain to feel good about ourselves, right? That is essentially what the Cenobites are doing in this situation. They are getting off on making other people miserable and watching people from a distance make asses of themselves. And I thought that was a really clever way of getting after the point of what really to me was an obvious commentary on bullying, on punching down at folks, and even at some point in time, Beth, I think she points out that they're punching down until she then starts to take part in it herself. And I think there's something to be said in this episode about going along with the crowd and in getting to a point where like, oh, we're cool too. Oh, I'm cool too. Like I can be a part of this crowd, this cool crowd that beats up on people because now I feel good about. I'm not an outsider anymore. Now I'm part of the cool kids.
That's right. And this sort of spills over into the B plot as well, where Morty is having a guest over for the evening, and Summer is quickly on board with trying to impress the new kid at the high school. What is his name? Bruce. Chutback. I was trying to say Cutback. That is not correct. But Bruce Chutback. He's the new kid in school, and he's a little bit of an unknown, right? He no credit is good credit for Bruce Chutback, and they want to impress the Chut in an attempt to get a cool kid on their side, and this again sort of speaks to they're super nervous because they aren't the cool kids in school. Morty is sort of lame. Apparently, there's some rumors going on around about Summer. So they are trying their best to impress this new kid. And the Chut is very he's playing his cards close to the chest. He knows what's for sale, and he is using this situation to try and sort of make Morty and Summer compete for his approval. What did you think about the B plot, which quickly spins into like this whole thing with a car and sort of a throwback to keep Summer safe and this weird joyride thing? What did you think about that?
I thought upon initial watch, I didn't piece them together as smoothly. And then it started clicking the second and the third time that I watched it. I didn't rewatch this as many times as I wanted to. But I watched it tonight again with my wife, and she picked up on this right away, which was when they were stealing the car, stealing Rick's spaceship, going on a joyride. It was very reminiscent of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, which was perfectly timed with the worst karaoke song in history, which makes all of us, Chelsea and I, said to each other, "This makes us want to go do karaoke and do that song."
You should go do karaoke.
The only worst song karaoke wise is Ghostbusters, the Ghostbusters theme song, which I have done, and it is actually really fun. So whatever, I'm a Jerry. But it's Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? They take the car, they go on a joyride to impress folks, and I like the direction that the B plot went, if we're calling that the B plot, because it started following these coming of age tales that are like they are 80s movies in a nutshell.
Right.
Like I think somebody on Reddit, and I'm sorry I can't give you credit, but know that I'm thinking of you when I say this. Somebody said the adventures of the spaceship in like college towns should be called Parkies because it's like a car.
Yeah, that'd be great. But it has that
like,
sort of like, you know, the car Tahoe like vibe where it's just like a party town like movie, and all of their Transformer logos are little like shakas, like yeah.
Shaka distance. There's a movie back in the day called Ski School, Ski Patrol, like those types of like really gross out like teen comedies. Porky's, obviously, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. There's a couple others that I had written down before that I neglect to put on here now. Oh, well, obviously American Graffiti, when they're at the car hop, like that's typical,
Sure.
Like 60s stuff. And so they have this coming of age thing, and in every coming of age tale, there are usually like the bullies, the cool kids that turn out not to be as cool as they have let on, the Breakfast Club, that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And I really like how they ended up tying that thematically to what was going on directly with Rick, Jerry, and Beth.
Yeah. In the end, like, so I mean, it's the second act sort of when they're in the hellscape. They rescue Jerry. When they first find Jerry, Jerry's like, haha, like, yeah, you came for me. You do love me. And Rick says a line that says, like, I love Beth. Those credits don't transfer, right? Like, basically saying he's doing this. He's always going to take care of Jerry. But it's only out of his affection for Beth. It's not because he actually likes Jerry. But then we fast forward into the hellish schoolhouse where Rick is making his pain mechanism, whatever.
Is it his inversion, reversion, aversion, inversion gun?
It turns
or whatever?
pain back into pain to pain for pain or whatever. Right? Yeah. So, powered
by 100% sincerity.
Yes, and the thing that ultimately powers on this device is Rick, more or less confessing that he does love Jerry in some way, right? And so I'm curious, like, if Rick can admit it, even though later on he kind of backpedals a little bit, saying that he will replace Jerry in an instant. I don't know. Is it okay for us as fans, Unity, come along with me. I'm talking to you. Is it okay for us to love Jerry? Because, I mean, I think there are a lot of fans that make a hobby of hating on Jerry. And yes, he's cringy. Yes, he is the butt of a lot of jokes. But I don't know. I think we on this podcast have had a soft spot for Jerry for years. And I don't know, like, is the character developing at all? I don't know that he is, but is our opinion of him changing in any way?
You and I kind of came around on him. You probably came around on him a little more because you're more Jerry than I am.
Oh, absolutely.
But like,
I got this shirt at Kohl's, actually. No, this is a Loot Crate. This is actually a Loot Crate shirt. Use promo code RNP15 for 15% off. LootCrate.com.
This actually is a Kohl's shirt. This Vans shirt I got from Kohl's.com.
Don't tell
Use
Ross.
RMP 15 at Loot Crate. Like so we came around on Jerry. Maybe during season 3, during the divorce season, and
Yeah.
maybe a little bit
Yeah.
before, but definitely during the divorce season, just because like we started being like, you know what, we are not assholes like Rick. We are not that type of person. Jerry legitimately loves his family, even though maybe he doesn't do it right. Maybe he messes up a lot, but at the end of the day, in his heart, he still cares deeply about his family.
Yeah.
And that's not a crappy trait to have. Rick, I'd say, is he loves his family too, but he is so adamant against feeling those kind of emotions.
Yeah.
This character is just it's so anti-emotion and showing sincerity that he comes off as really just unapproachable, and you wouldn't want that. You'd want a Jerry in your life. You wouldn't want a Rick
Yeah.
ultimately.
Yeah. And
And-
sometimes that means you have to suffer through them talking about the fact that they have a podcast, or that they, they don't know the songs to, or the lyrics to like a Whitney Houston song or something. But it is what it is. It's fine. I find it interesting in this episode that as the mockery of Jerry like reaches a peak, it's actually Rick that kind of tries to diffuse the situation, and he's like, all right, maybe we should, get our check or whatever, but we should get out of here. You can tell, and I think the writers are really intentional about this, that, there is a soft spot there in Rick where he's like, all right, like, yeah, I don't like Jerry in general, but even Rick has a limit. And so I think there is, going back to season 1 and even like the divorce season 3 type, where like Rick's like, I'm doing all this to get rid of Jerry. I think something has happened. There's some sort of shift where Rick has come around and he's at least accepting of Jerry, and maybe even even if he doesn't approve of Jerry, like he accepts him for who he is.
Yeah, Jerry has shown in the last couple of seasons that he cares about his family, that he wants to do right. He's an idiot, and he says stupid things, and he does stupid things, but he still cares. The episode, I lose the title of it in my mind, but the one where he makes it to where Jerry has less gravity, and he starts and it happens in the background.
Speaking of gravity.
And he oh, perfect. And he starts floating, and then he goes through the whole thing, and he's holding onto the jetliner, and he tells Rick to basically screw off. He'll figure this out himself.
Yeah.
Like we've talked about this before. He's showing some kind of self-sufficiency there, and even at the end, Jerry. There's a part of Jerry that he's stupid, but he knows when Rick says to him, "This is never going to happen again." And Jerry just says, 10-4, Captain, and just pats him on the shoulder and walks off. And Jerry and Rick has this kind of like moment. He frowns, but then he walks off. He doesn't respond back to that at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a soft spot, and Lane in the inside the episode mentions that as well. That yeah, like they could find common ground, and they could be some kind of friends in the end. And Rick's sincerity at that end shows exactly that. Like, it's almost a stand-in for the viewers and how we view Jerry. We shouldn't all just we can laugh at it, but we shouldn't be above it. And
Yes.
and we shouldn't make Jerry being like, yeah, look how stupid he is. Look how cool we are, a thing. Because as the demon says, cringe cannot exist in a vacuum. You need the crappy people, and you need the people who think they're too cool for the lame people to really be cringe.
And this comes around at the very end of the episode when the Chut is at the high school, and he's the cool kid, right? He's above Morty and Summer. He's not hanging out with them. He's hanging out with these cool kids. And then very quickly, all of that is shattered when they discover that he wore the same pants 2 days in a row, which to me feels like it was maybe a little too close to home for Dan Harmon, because he always talks about how gross he was as a kid and how he like didn't care about things like in the school, and so he was like the dirty kid. So I feel like Dan is projecting a little bit here, where he's like, yeah, like this stuff happens, and maybe kids don't have control of it, but like don't punch down on them, like just be cool, don't be mean to kids. But the Chut immediately loses his credibility and is turned into Bruce Chut Pants, and is then mocked. And again, a symbol of just how cruel kids can be and things like that. But yeah, how
ain't got slacks. Them's the facts.
Them's the facts. Which is, excuse me, which is one of our favorite bits. Let's talk about a few of the best or worst parts of this episode. One of the things I really liked was the way they tied up the faulty skin hooks in this episode. So the backstory behind why Rick has to do Guys Night in the first place and appease all of these hellspawn's desire to look at cringy Jerry is because he gave them some faulty skin hooks that didn't work, and he was repaying his debt. Well, flash forward to when they are being captured, they use those same faulty skin hooks, and Rick asks, "Where'd you get these?" Just before they break, and then they're able to make their escape. So I really liked that they were able to tie that all together. That was one of my favorite parts of the episode.
Yeah, I agree. Tying back to Hellraiser, by the way, actual Hellraiser, because that was old Pinhead's weapon of choice, them skin hooks. When Uncle Frank got taken out in the original Hellraiser, he was back in Hellraiser too.
None of this means anything to me, Brandon.
You should watch it. Doug Bradley, fantastic Pinhead. Clive Barker, yeah. The heroine, Kirsty Cotton. It doesn't matter. Okay, so the Bruce Chutback theme song, fantastic. Both versions.
Yeah.
When we talked to Ryan Elder a couple weeks back, I think he was talking about this song or my other favorite song of the episode. But I really love that like really lo-fi guitar rock in the background, and Harmon's singing about unlimited potential.
Yeah.
New kid.
No credit is good credit. And then in this episode, there are some obviously fantastic character designs and background designs, things like that. Credit, as always, to the animation teams, the design teams that just go above and beyond in every episode. There's so many crazy characters and designs, and each one of them have little things that are unique about them. So I don't know, I thought that was really, really awesome to see.
Yeah. Let's go into some of our favorite bits, Travis. We have favorite bits, you have favorite bits, Unity. Here are some of ours. A couple that jumped out: the car fishing for Galactus, Marvel's villain. It's the first thing that Rick's car does is go fishing for Galactus, dragging planets, and not only that, killing Galactus instantly, but then measuring it and saying like, not big enough.
Yeah,
oh
well. Oh well. I love Jerry's line. I referenced it earlier. Don't tell Ross, but I got this little ditty from Coles. Yeah, that's a thing. And then Jerry's karaoke to "Oh Yeah, Boom Boom." Over the Joyride. I love the way that they were able to. Kudos to the director for putting that scene together and sort of jumping back and forth between Jerry doing karaoke and then the different scenes where Morty, Summer, and the Chut are hitting mailboxes and going into black holes. That black hole scene just is awesome. The animation there where they kind of all melt into the black hole. So it's very cool stuff.
Yeah, there were a couple of when Jerry finds out that they're getting off on talking shit about him, and he's in the bathroom stall. there's some cool stuff written in the background. You talking about character and environment designs. On the bathroom stall, there's a shout out to the Flesh Curtains, which is Rick's band with Squanchy and Bird Person. It
Yep.
says like the Flesh Curtains really suck, I think, on the back there. It also says Beryllium Zeppelin rather than Led Zeppelin. So that's
That's a
on
fun
there.
little element joke for you. That's fun.
Yeah.
It also in the bar up on sort of the craft beer sign. There is like a high IQ beer, which is
Yeah.
I can only be a riff on the meme that you have to have a particularly high IQ to understand Rick and Morty.
Yeah, it's limited edition, mind you.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
not the
That's right.
You have to have one.
And then also I Am in Great Pain, which is a play on I'm in Great Pain, the definition of wubba lubba dub dub in Bird Person's language. So a couple of deep cuts in there as well if you missed those.
The just a couple small things, that the pod racing, just the random pod racer that they kill,
Yep.
and mailboxes and female boxes as delivered by Brandon Johnson. They're in the background of the bar. Going back to the bar, in the background up near the karaoke stage, there's some stuff that's good throughout the bar. But the one that jumped out to me were these two characters on a poster in the background. And those characters, I don't know if you remember who those characters are, Travis, but those are Cher and Itty from, if you remember Seth Rogen's Hilarity for Charity. They
That's
have
right.
the apple dumpling caper or apple stand caper.
Yeah.
Where they're showing a clip for Charity, and then the clip that they show is just them shaking their balls at each other, shaking their balls and penis at each other, and then Itty comes over and then puts his butthole in the camera and then just shits. And anyway, they're on a poster in the background here in this
I
Rick and Morty
forgot about
episode.
that, and I don't know that I'm happy that you reminded me that exists. But yeah,
It's
That's
funny.
couple of other little bits. There is a young lady in the bar with a T-shirt. It has the logo for Planetina on the T-shirt. That sort of heart-shaped recycling symbol is on there. Also, he lacks the slacks, and that's the facts. We talked about the Chutback theme song at the end for Chut Pants. What else is there? Oh, the Evil Things Are Happening song. That's
Evil things are happening. Jerry Goldsmith. If you listen to our interview with Ryan Elder before episode 47 of the podcast, you'll be reminded that one of his favorite composers is that who composed The Omen, Planet of the Apes, and such. And this was very Omen-ish as far as evil things are happening. So shout out to Elder for putting that out there.
one thing I wanted to bring up to you, Brandon, and this
Mhm.
has sort of been sprinkled throughout season 5. We've made it no secret that the interdimensional cable episodes are some of our favorites from the early seasons, and almost every episode, and I'd have to go back to be sure, but it seems like most of the episodes have had a single interdimensional cable moment, right? You go back to Nintendo 69. In this episode, you have Olympic diving with terrible swimmers. Is this a season 5 move for interdimensional cable? Is not to do an individual episode of interdimensional cable ideas, but just like give us one clip in every episode, just to sort of, or I would love for them to do this just like for the rest of the series, like just do one, like just always have that constant interdimensional cable scene.
It's like a meta ranking, right? Like where if we had an interdimensional cable episode, we would be like, okay, we rank this episode maybe 1 of 3 or 2 of 3, but But now we have one clip or one or two clips per episode. Now we have to meta rank them. What is the best one clip out of season 5?
That's right.
And then somebody's going to do like a super cut of of all the episodes when Wolf will be on there.
Yes.
It's great. I dig that idea because it doesn't force them to have an entire episode to focus an episode around the concept of interdimensional cable, and it lets them still have that kind of that improvisational feel type of stuff in there.
I feel like they just have like a Schraub box of ideas, and they just like they draw one out and then record it one for every episode or something. But I love them. I love them, and I hope they continue to do those throughout the season. Any other little bits that you're holding on to?
I got two more. The first one is I caught the first time I watched the episode. I caught Rick saying he just watched Jurassic Park, and then and then nah I just watched Jurassic Park, and I like, oh, gotcha. He's being Dennis Nedry, going back to Wayne Knight, as a callback. So there's that one. I love that bit. And then the other bit was when he does his 100% sincerity part, the demon that he has in like the wheelchair gun, just after he's done, just says, "Nerds," and that was funny to me because that's become like my go-to like fake insult for people when they're saying things that are just like, "You nerd." Especially for me, where I'm like wearing glasses here, and I'm on my own studying audio engineering in my free time, right?
Nerd.
So. What about you? Any final ones?
The only one that I forgot to mention is when the spaceship is talking about trying to lose its virginity, and then they asked if objects have virginity, and she's like, "Does a doorknob not have? Is a doorknob a virgin?" And Morty's response is, "Not mine." Never had sex with a doorknob. He covers very well for that, but I would never want to go to Morty's room. I just feel like that is not a safe space. That is not,
especially not with a black light.
Ooh.
Do not do it. It might look a lot like the thing directly to your left, which is a plumbus for our
for the audio listeners. It's a plumbus.
Audio listeners.
All right. Well, that is our favorite bits. That's pretty much our recap of the episode. Anything else you thought about? I thought it was a good episode. I am realizing that I continue to appreciate these episodes more as I rewatch them, and even though some fans seem to be sort of down on season 5 so far, really I think these episodes have been pretty great, and I continue to appreciate them more and more as we review them and talk about them. So if you find yourself, maybe not sold on some of these episodes, I offer a suggestion to rewatch some of them and see how you feel about them after revisiting them.
Agreed with that. I like this episode because at its core, it is about not putting yourself above other people. And just from Travis and I's perspective, even with this show, we have a podcast. We are one of many Rick and Morty podcasts. And the only reason we have this podcast and we've been doing it is not because we're better than anybody, not because we're better fans or more knowledgeable on the show. It's because we're one of you. And I think, again, at its core, that this episode was about accepting that people are different and no one's cooler than anybody else. Everybody sucks in their own way.
That's
and
right.
just accept that.
That's right.
So fuck off.
So speaking of people
what?
that...
No, that's not what... That wasn't the point.
Speaking of sucking your own way, it's time for listener suggestions and short outs.
What? I don't. You should rephrase. You should rephrase that.
nerds. All right.
Doorknob is not a virgin.
Doorknob is not a virgin. Want to give a bunch of special shout outs to folks in the Twitch chat tonight, as well as some new followers. Renyard Rad with 2 A's following us this week over on Twitch, and old friend of the show and talented artist Daticus X following us. If you go to rickandmortypod.com, or you have some of our t-shirts and stuff, he drew the infamous pickle picture of us. So thanks to Daticus for following us over on Twitch. Also hosting us tonight, Heath Bar Guy, thank you so much for that. I want to shout out Julie888, who said The Thing would be a good potential horror premise for a future episode. And
well,
then,
okay, can I stop you there for half a second? Okay, for 1 minute then. You every time you say no, it expands.
I'm just gonna pretend my internet's frozen.
The Thing in the intro animation, you're so frozen, you piece of shit. In the intro of season 5, there is a very Thing-esque intro with all of their heads turning into spiders, which is from the original Thing.
Do you think that will be an actual clip from an upcoming episode, or do you think that's a throwaway gag for the title sequence? I think we've seen like 3 title sequence gags already.
Yeah. I would like to see that not be a throwaway gag. Just as like I wouldn't want to. I don't want the golf one to be a throwaway gag. My son asked me yesterday. He's like, "Oh, which one of these do you think is going to be it?" And I was like, "I really hope it's this golf one. That's not a throwaway."
Yeah.
He said, "Why?" Like, I don't know. I just want to see.
Because I'm a Jerry. That's why.
I want to see Morty do well at golf. I want him to succeed in life. Jeez, get off me, you little butthole.
Okay. Also, a final short out, quick 66669, mentioning that Jenny's number is also written on the bathroom stall, 8675309.
I didn't. Man, I didn't notice that. Good catch. Good catch. There was a bunch of stuff I wanted to go back and go look at all of the inscriptions there in the bathroom stalls, but I didn't get a chance to.
This was definitely the rewatches definitely gave me an opportunity to go back and see lots of those little details that you probably would miss. Upon first viewing. So
like in the background on the bar too, there were pictures of stars, right? I think I saw Betty Davis, but I'm not sure. But I definitely saw like Groucho Marx. He was back there. Bing Crosby was on one of the pictures. Some sports people, doesn't matter. They're not famous. So I thought that was cool. I was like, oh hey, it's Groucho.
There you go.
And then I stopped paying attention to the plot, and I just was like, is that Groucho?
Just looking at the backgrounds, forgetting the actual dialogue. Anyway, those are our thoughts. Thanks to everybody that continues to like, subscribe, rate, review, do all of those things for this podcast. The number one best thing you can do is if there's a Rick and Morty fan in your life, let them know about the podcast. If they're not already listening, share it with a friend, and don't forget to go to lootcrate.com/Rick and Morty. Blah blah RNP 15% off. That's just Brandon and I send that to each other throughout the week, so don't think it's just for the podcast, guys. We joke about that all week. So hopefully you're enjoying it as much as, and that is a real code. You could really use that code. Try it. I dare you. At lootcrate.com. Anyway, that's it. We're gonna head over to our Twitch only post show right now. If you want to be around for that, make sure you are following us on Twitch so you know anytime that we go live, and we will see you next week. Hey, stay tuned. Special things happening. Make sure that you're subscribed wherever you get this podcast for any bonus episodes. And if you have not checked out the Ryan Elder interview, please go listen, go watch it. It is a great conversation with him. So do yourself a favor and check that out as well. Brandon, the floor is yours. Take us on home.
You mentioned the Ryan Elder conversation. Make sure you go a little bit further back and also check out the Erica Rosby, Sarah Carbiner conversation about the Vindicators web series that's coming up. And who knows? Stay tuned. You might have more special guests on the show. So keep your ears peeled, everybody. Like bananas, because bananas use peels. You could also peel an orange. Why are bananas the go-to fruit that you feel like, oh, that's appealing, like a banana. Like, no, I mean, you have to peel an orange. You have to peel a grapefruit sometimes if you want to get that sweet, sweet, succulent grapefruit. I'm not a fan of grapefruit. I don't know if I told you this. It's tart, but then it's really bitter on the aftertaste. Anyway, thank you everybody for listening. We appreciate you each and every week. Until next time, I am Brandon,
I'm Travis.
and we'll see you later.
Bye.
I mean, Chelsea loves grapefruits,
I can't stand them.
and I don't get it. I don't get it.
It's like too bitter.
Yeah, too tart, too bitter.
Yeah.
Not enough sweet. It's sweet for a second, then bitter tart.
Bye, YouTube. Like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know anytime we post a new video. Okay, bye.
Yeah.